Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is actually take two of the second video. I did a lot of recording yesterday, but I found out after that, I recorded everything, I didn't like what I saw, so here we are today, take two. Now today we're going to go over the 4000. I'll walk you through some light things that have been going on with it, a brief history about the car, the engine, the interior, upgrades I've done to the car in terms of suspension as well. So with that, let's get to it. The paint is pretty bad. You can tell the top coat is pretty far gone. The clear coat's all gone. These are the top panels I really don't care about. So when the car gets washed, it looks great for about 5 minutes, and then as everything dries off, it looks as you see it here. But the side panels are pretty good. This is a West Coast car. It came from Oregon. So the paint's seen its better days. Underside of the car is actually pretty good, not a lot of rust. But I'm not sure if sometime in its life it wasn't properly maintained in terms of washing, waxing, and so forth. But as you can tell, the top coats are pretty bad. The only thing that's good about the top coat would be newish sunroof seal. These are great to have put in, super easy to do, and it makes, of course, a difference aesthetically, and also keeps a bit of the rainwater out of the rain trays. Moving back to the back of the car, like I said, the side panels are pretty good. Trunk is pretty hideous. You get back to the taillights. I had installed the V8 taillights originally. I opted to move those off the car just from a stock perspective. The V8 lights are a great upgrade, but I just wanted to change in appearance for now, so I put the OEM ones back on. The body is actually in pretty good shape. Not too many spots, a few door dings here and there, aside from the bad paint. Just one small note, there's a little dent up here in the corner. I had the air filter replaced. I did that a few months ago, and I probably should have taken time to just knock that out of there, but I didn't do it. So in the future, we'll get that taken care of. But as a whole, the body of the car is in nice straight shape. I've seen worse, especially cars from Midwest, Northeast. But this is a pretty good survivor. One of the main differences here is just I have H1, H4 headlights, also with the European rebar behind the bumper skin. That provision lets you run the fogs and the turn signals, which normally you won't be able to do because of the US spec bumper rebar having support back there. This gets rid of that. The fogs aren't working yet, but it looks better, and in my opinion, is the way to go if you have one of these cars. Moving on, we'll talk about the suspension and brakes. The suspension itself was gone through a little over 2 years ago, and at that point I had H&R springs installed all the way around, along with new shocks. In the past they were called Bogie Turbo Gas, or Boge, wherever you want to call them. The name did change to Sachs Advantage. So I installed those in all four corners, all new wheel bearings, strut mounts, control arm bushings, sway bar end link bushings. Any kind of bushing you can think of, front and back, was replaced at that time. Alignment was performed as flawless, and the car tracks nice and straight. The actual wheels on the car are from a 1990 Coupe Quattro. These have a bit different offset than the Audi 90 20 valve wheels, so if you're looking for a set, these are the ones you want to get. This particular set was refinished by me about 10 years ago, and honestly, for a spray job, it's held up pretty well. I actually sprayed these in the apartment I used to live in and give them a few coats of clear. They do show a bit of age, but overall, they are pretty good. Now, I did not remove any of the fake plastic bolts here when I did that. I was a little afraid of breaking those off and not be able to get them out and finding replacements. But the wheels look pretty good. They are a favorite of mine for the B2s. I have these on my 90 Quattro as well, but I think they look stunning on a B2 sedan. Now, the only thing I want to mention from the back is that when he did the suspension, I opted to, instead of do the rear tie rods from Lemf Warner, the OEM supplier, I opted to try a BMW part. I think it's from early 90s. Not M3, early 90s, one of the smaller things. I forget what it's called, but it was one of the tie rod ends from them. FCP had it for I think like $20, so I gave that a go, and it's definitely something you should look into if you were doing your suspension refresh or you have to replace your tie rods. It's very cost effective and definitely the way to go. All right, let's talk about the engine. This is the all-powerful JT Code engine for this car. It's stock, it's original. It gets me from A to B. It's been extremely reliable. CAS is doing its job, doing a very good job of keeping me going with fuel delivery. Everything in the engine bay is pretty dirty, but it's been well maintained. A friend of mine, Nathan, and I just did a timing belt service on it a couple years ago. We did timing belt, water pump, roller, front crank seal, a few of the miscellaneous seals. Did a coolant flush with proper G11 coolant. Not a new coolant tank, unfortunately, which I have in the box ready to go on. New ignition components, plugs, wires, cap, rotor. And recently I did the air filter. I'm not sure when I did it last or if it was done before I bought the car, but it was pretty gnarly. The future, as you can see, the bay is pretty dirty. Future episode, you're going to see me, I'll show you guys how to, clean the engine bay, my method, and we'll make it as clean as we can. I know these things are pretty grimy and dirty, but we'll do what we can to give this a nice, clean appearance. I need to get the radiator out of here for some service. I'm going to reinstall the AC condenser here, get that working again. And all the stuff here you're going to see is pretty dirty. I cleaned up a little bit when I did the air filter, replaced some vacuum lines. But it is pretty dirty in some spots. So we'll get that clean up. We'll bring you guys along to show you how that's going to work and how it's going to look at the end. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a lot better than it has been. All right, let's talk about the interior. This is a 1986 commemorative design car. So what that means is that it either came in Alpine white or graphite metallic. And the interior color was, for the Quattro versions, was a red leather. And if you look at ETCA, it is listed as a Mouton red leather, paying homage to Michel Mouton, which I find to be very attractive and a very stark contrast with the exterior color, no matter if you get white or graphite. I did a VIN check with Audi customer care about a year ago, and given the VIN, they said this is one of 197 sedans, 4,000 Quattro sedans purchased or produced in that year. Is that true? Perhaps. I think it holds true to how many models total there were for the commemorative design for 86. But true or not, it's still a neat statistic, and it's a very unique color combination that you don't see too often nowadays. And as you can see, also my Alex inspired red duct taped, covering up some of the imperfections in the seats. Overall, they held up pretty good, but as with age, I try to keep them as clean as I can with leather care cleaners, but still takes its toll with time. We got Lloyd's mats in here, no longer available, but if you can find a set, they are fantastic, and with the red interior here, it really makes it pop. All right, moving inside to the cockpit here, a few things to note for my car specifically. One, you see the odometer is broken. I try to fix it, but to no avail, so all the B2 owners will know what that's like. Also, the coolant and fuel gauges are from a pre-85 car. I happen to like the more Spartan looking gauges for those, but I do want the trip computer, so next best thing was just to toss in the fuel and temperature gauges for the cluster here. Next thing are the comm switches. So the LEDs usually go out. All my switches actually work. They either been replaced by somebody else in the past, or they were still the OEM LEDs. Moving along, nothing really interesting about the climate control. Now, the tape deck is a stock deck. I actually did find a brand new cassette to put in here, so I put that in about a month ago. And also I found a few brand new faceplates on eBay 3 years ago, and I tossed one of those on. So having a rate that works flawlessly to run my XM is fantastic. It's super quiet, just like brand new. Then you have your differential lock, which is standard fare for the 4000 Quattro, and you have a nice, fairly new shift knob. Got that from our friend Ben in Ohio. Then the boot itself is from my friend Sue out East. She makes these, does a fantastic job. And these actually, this one actually has been here for a few years, so it's held up very well to the elements. And everything else is pretty standard in here. Door cards are in pretty good shape. Headliner itself, pretty clean. I use Magic Eraser on this, and it ends up working very, very well. So I highly recommend if you have smudges or anything on your headliner to use some Magic Eraser. Moving on to the back really quick. Nothing interesting back here, just more red leather, which is super comfortable. Somewhat supple as well. This actually came from a friend of mine, Will in PA. My seat back was pretty dry rotting, cracking, so he was actually kind of to send me back a set when I came back from Carlisle one year. One thing I will mention back here, if you guys have any issues with your doors closing or they don't close smoothly, replace your door strikers. This particular one, this set came from overseas, and it's a pretty good set. One thing I will say is that there's the metal washer here, then a nylon washer behind it. Reuse these. Use the new one of these, but reuse both of these. Otherwise, you might have trouble adjusting. I had a heck of a time adjusting the door with all brand new stuff, brand new hardware and the striker itself. So just a tip today to get you through if you order those. All right, guys, that is a quick walk around the 4000. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. I will say I did read the comments from the first video. I'm very happy. You guys mentioned the audio was a bit off as well, so I did some updates on the camera itself. So hopefully this episode sounds a lot better. But please feel free to comment below. Follow me on Instagram, Mike's Virtual Garage. Always updates there as well. So coming up, you'll see some replacement of some parts on the 4000. You'll see some fuel system refresh, some other things too. So I'll bring you guys along for that. I want to get a lot of stuff done before Carlisle, which is next month. So you'll see more videos here coming soon. But until then, thanks for coming along today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.